Hello people, this is Aviate Global Network. My name is Chris and it's class time. So on to today's question. Many people usually wonder what's the difference between KAA, KCAA and KQ. So in today's lesson, nitakuwa nawafunza hizo vitu tatu. And I hope you follow me. In case you have a question, you are free to ask on the comment section. In case you have something to add, unaweza ongezea. This is Aviate Global Network and this segment, it's class time. So let's get it rolling. Let's get straight into it. Now, here is where we start. Many people, when you hear of aviation, what is the first thing that comes into your mind? Kitu kwanza inawaingia kwa akili ni kwamba there is an aircraft involved, ama kuna ndege. Number two, there is an airport involved. Kuna mahali, kuna uwanja wa ndege. So kuna ndege na kuna airport ama uwanja wa ndege. Right. So let's start from these two entities. That's where the whole thing lies. So if you have an airport is basically a location whereby we have an aircraft can land or take off. We have people can get into the aircraft. That's basically a gateway. People can get into the aircraft, can get processed to come into the country or to come outside of the country, or they can board the aircraft to the same point or the location, ama wanaweza toka from the aircraft and all that. So that's the location, the airport itself. So from that concept, I want to bring in the meaning and the essence of KAA. So KAA in full inamaanisha Kenya Airports Authority. That's the full. That's the meaning, the full meaning of the word of the acronym KAA, Kenya Airports Authority. So KAA is the body which has been issued by the government the mandate, the authority, and the powers to control each and every civil aviation airport in the boundaries of Kenya. Namaanisha hivi, KAA has been formed by the government through the Ministry of Transport. So what does it do? Each and every civil aviation airport in the country, in Kenya, in the boundaries of Kenya, is managed, is controlled, and is run by the authority known as KAA. So that's the government. It's a government entity which is headquartered in Nairobi. Nairobi as an airport itself, which is Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, JKIA, is also managed and controlled by KAA, Kenya Airports Authority. Kisumu International Airport is controlled by Kenya Airports Authority. Same case as Wilson, same case as Moi International Airport in Mombasa, in Malindi. Now, from my research, I understand there are around over 300 airports and airstrips in Kenya. Now, I know kuna wengine nimechanganya pale, and that is the question for the day. What's the difference between an airport and an airstrip? So please comment on the section below. What's the difference between an airport and an airstrip? But basically the idea is each and every airport, each and every airstrip is run by Kenya Airports Authority. It is a government entity which is formed through the Ministry of Transport to manage, to control, and to run each and every airport, all activities of airports. Here, I mean, which is activities just surrounding the aviation industry, the civil aviation aspect in the whole country. All right. So that's KAA. So this is the entity at airport. It's being run by a certain authority. And that authority in Kenya is Kenya Airports Authority. So that's number one. I hope we are together up to that point. Number two, we are talking about KCAA. This KCAA is an acronym which stands for Kenya Civil Aviation Authority. Right? Kenya Civil Aviation Authority. Now, let's get to the genesis of why KCAA is there and what's the functionality or what's the essence of having KCAA. So we have an aircraft here. Assuming this is an aircraft which is here. This aircraft is supposed to operate in the sense inafaa ikuwe inabeba watu from one point to another. So it's supposed to be bringing in money. So it is conducting civil aviation activities. So inabeba watu, inabeba mizigo in terms of cargo, inabeba watu, passengers, inabeba baggages, passengers na bags zao. So this aircraft needs to be run by a certain authority. This aircraft, there is an authority, ama kuna mtu mwenye amenunua hii ndege anafaa ioperate. Kuna mtu mwenye anafaa ajue hii ndege itawekwa mafuta vipi, itakuwa maintained vipi, itaoperatiwa aje, na itaenda wapi na wapi. So that is the essence of having an airline. This aircraft has to be operated, has to be run, has to be managed, has to be controlled by a certain authority. Now that authority we can match, tunaweza sema it's more of like the owner. Ni kama ukiwa na gari, you are the owner, you are the one who is operating, who is managing and who is controlling this car. Such is the same as an aircraft. So this aircraft has an authority which is operating it. In assuming now this is an aircraft in Kenya and it's being operated by an authority. This authority is the national carrier, the one which we refer to as KQ. All right. So KQ is an operator, is an aircraft operator. All right. It is operating this aircraft from the sense KQ ndio itajua hii ndege inaenda wapi, itajua hii ndege ina maintainiwa aje, itajua hii ndege inabeba nini na inabeba nani. So it's like the authority in charge of this aircraft. KQ is an aircraft operator, is an airline. An aircraft operator, in other words, is also known as an airline. Tunaweza ita KQ an airline. Right? So now, the next question that comes in your mind is, why KQ and not KA? Because if we are to look at it, the name is Kenya Airways or Kenya Airlines, as some will call it, Kenya Airlines. Why KQ and not KA? So I want you to hold that thought just for a minute as I finish up this, explaining KCAA, and then I'm going to explain to you why it is KQ and not KA. But then if you have an idea, you can still comment on the section below, and then we can counter check your answers. So it's an open forum. It's an open forum. You can give in your comments and on the comment section below. All right. So let's get to it. KCAA. Why is it important? Why is it there? Now, if you remember, we have talked about the aircraft operator or the airline. For example, KQ, which we have discussed just a few minutes ago. So KQ is an operator in Kenya, is an airline based in Kenya. Tanzanian Airlines is an air operator in Tanzania. Ugandan Airlines is an operator in Uganda. And maybe Ethiopian Airlines is also an operator in Ethiopia. So we are taking an example with this Kenya Airways or KQ as an air operator. So this Kenya Airways as an operator has to be regulated, has to be controlled, has to be under an authority. Otherwise, what will happen ni kwamba tomorrow somebody will wake up, and then because you have a rich uncle in the US of A ama huko majuu akutumanishie ndege, and then you have put it on the airways, ishaanza kubeba watu from one location to another. Hautaki kujua ama pesa ni ngapi unalipisha, because the competition is there, wewe unalipisha penye unataka. Another person will think that I have some engineering genius in my head. Ataamka hivi atengeneze ndege yake, and then boom, it's on the road. It's in the air. It's flying and carrying people and cargo. So what happens is that activities of civil aviation, especially those ones that involve carrying people, involve kubeba watu from one location to another in a country or in a nation or in within a certain location, they must be controlled, they must be managed for the purposes of security, for the purposes of safety, for the purposes of fair competition, for the purposes of that discipline in the industry. And as you know, aviation is one of the most, actually I think it's the most regulated industries that we have around. So to prevent these guys, anybody from doing the way they like things, the way they want in the civil aviation sector, that's why KCAA is there. What does it do? It controls, it regulates, it manages the civil aviation activities in a nation. For example, in Kenya. So Kenya Civil Aviation Authority will control, will regulate, will manage civil aviation activities in Kenya. So airlines or air operators are managed by the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority. Now let's get a step higher. Kenya Civil Aviation Authority does its own thing. Uganda has its own civil aviation authority, same as Ethiopia, same as Tanzania, same as Europe. Europe has one civil aviation authority known as European Aviation Safety Agency. That's EASA. The US has FAA, Federal Aviation Administration. So now, assuming a Kenyan aircraft is flying from Nairobi to Europe, that means it's going into a new territory where KCAA has no jurisdiction over. It's going into a new area where the Civil Aviation Authority in Kenya has no jurisdiction over. So what happens is that there is another bigger body, there's another bigger organization which regulates civil aviation authorities, individual civil aviation authorities. Now, this bigger authority is known as International Civil Aviation Organization. Short, it's ICAO. Some will call it ICAO, and some will call it IQ. Right? It's the international body that manages, that controls, that regulates the civil aviation authorities individually. So the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, KCA, will report to ICAO. Ugandan Civil Aviation Authority will report to ICAO. Same case to FAA in the United States of America. Same case to EASA in the Europe. Same case to DGCAA in India, Director General for Civil Aviation Activities in the Indian region, will report to ICAO. Now ICAO is based in Montreal, Canada. All right. So that's like the supreme authority in civil aviation. It's known as ICAO, International Civil Aviation Authority, which now trickles down to Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, individual civil aviation authorities in different nations. So I hope I have explained well the difference between KAA, KCAA, and KQ. If you have any other query or other question concerning the same or surrounding the same, I would request you to put it on the comments section below, and I'm going to be very much glad to answer you. So be sure to catch me up on my next video. That is why KQ and not KA. Thank you so much. Subscribe to Aviate Global Network. Leave a comment, share, and invite as many people as possible who are aviators or who would like to join the aviation industry, or you who would like to know some information and some knowledge surrounding the aviation industry. Thank you so much. See you in the next video.